From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here's where it gets crazy. There are issues here. There are two big issues, and Parker wrote to us about one that may be unfamiliar to a lot of our listeners outside of the world of makeup or skincare, and that's corruption in the sunscreen industry. Parker wrote to us specifically about something called Purito Centella Green Level Unscented Sun, which, spoilers, fellow conspiracy realists, none of us knew about.
No.
None of us had that light bulb moment where we said, oh no, Purito, what happened to Purito?
Yeah. I really didn't know if it was Purito or Purito because I was hungry and I thought about burritos.
Is a burrito like a burrito for cats? Okay, I'm done. No, but this
No,
is
that was worth it. That was worth it.
This is such a ridiculous name. It almost feels like it needs a red vet pet type shortening. But there really is nothing you can do with Purito Centella Green Level Unscented Sun. So you really just got to like power through it. But apparently this was like really popular, right? It was like known as the internet's favorite sunscreen. But it kind of got lampooned a bit on social media when a study revealed that they were not being particularly honest about the level of protection that it offered.
Yeah. So imagine you're at your beach store, you're at your surf store, or you're just a person who takes care of their skin. Mm-hmm. Like obviously none of us do on this show.
Look at us.
Yeah, right. So you go to this. No, we look okay.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
I think we look okay. So anyway, you're a hypothetical person, no specific person. You care about your skin because you want to be alive and not have skin cancer, and you want to look relatively good. So you grab this stuff, this Green Level Unscented Sun, because it has SPF 50. Well, a study came out that revealed this was not the actual case. If you look at the ingredients, if you take that stuff to a lab and you test for SPF, you'll find that it has an SPF of 19, less than half of the 50 it claims.
Yikes.
Yeah, and we know that the experiments or the study that revealed this is legit. It comes from something called INCI decoder. Let's put aside the question of whether this was like purposely misleading or whether this was honestly a mistake or a negligence issue. The thing is, this opens a door to a much wider problem. It's not like one brand of this sunscreen, is it?
No. This goes across the spectrum here. There was a Consumer Reports report that came out not that long ago, and it found that 36 out of 53 sunscreens that it tested did not have the SPF level represented. So it was lower than what was represented on the bottle of spray or the lotion or the bar that you're going to put on yourself. Whatever it was a lower SPF than it claimed to be.
How is the FDA not involved in this? Like, you would think there would be like sample testing to ensure that there was truth in advertising for these types of products in the same way that, drugs are regulated.
Well, here's the thing. There are a ton of reasons why this could happen, right? It could be a single batch, right? That maybe the SPF wasn't quite right, and maybe that's just it. You tested a bad batch. Maybe there are standards that are falling. There are a lot of reasons.
Yeah, which are not necessarily deceitful. There are also loopholes around kind of the government regulation or standards, right? Like, how do you test stuff? When do you test stuff? Which is probably one of the biggest deals here. For instance, if we think of the U.S. and other manufacturers, right, from different countries, then you can get around loopholes by just taking off SPF. It's like, oh, hey, no, we're not doing a sunscreen thing. We have some of the ingredients, but we're not claiming it. Now we're just, now we're just good time sun lotion. No promises, right? That's the motto. Yeah. No promises.
No promises. But again, as we said before, and I think this is true, one of the biggest purchasing factors for a consumer is that giant SPF label and number, right? So,
but I appreciate the point you were making, Matt, which is that this doesn't necessarily mean manufacturers are bad actors. There could be bad storage, like you said, variations between batches, different testing standards. That's huge. Also, yes, counterfeiting. Yeah. Yes, fabrication of testing results, which is a little bit easier to do than you might think.
I want to just, we're going to talk about this later in the episode, but Ben mentioned the storage of the substance and how that can be a factor. We have found in the research that is a major factor for some sunscreens and the chemicals that are inside of them.
Ooh, buddy, yeah. Expiration dates are not just for food in your grocery store. So we can't, if we're being absolutely fair, we can't say all of these companies are lying to you. They're pawns of Big Sun and they want you to burn. What we can say instead is that the burden of informed consent is placed on the consumer here. Parker sent this great article by a writer named Rio Vera Newton, writing for The Strategist in New York Magazine. And this author notes the actual way to figure out what you're buying, what you're paying for. And it's some work. You'd have to be, like, if you're standing in front of sunscreen in the grocery aisle or wherever, at your beach store, your surf store, that you would have to be on your phone for a few minutes because you have to look up a product's name or what's called an NDC number, which is a 10-digit number. I know, how juicy is this, right? It's kind of dry. It's a 10-digit code that identifies drugs labeler, product, and trade package size on something called ndclist.com. And why do you have to look up this crazy 10-digit number, this like VIN, this VIN of a bottle of sunscreen? Because that number verifies the FDA registration, the question you asked earlier, Noel, and it shows that it's gone through testing in the US. That's not the whole step. The next step, Rio says, is you have to go to Consumer Reports, which has a lot of research on sunscreen, and you have to compare these. So at this point, you are like at least 12 minutes deep in the sunscreen system on your phone in front of the people are going to the beach without you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe just like use a parasol instead, or a big floppy hat. That probably helps. But sunscreen is definitely a part of the skincare industry, right? Even certain skin creams or moisturizers, for example, or like various products, they'll have some form of sunscreen in them or will offer some sort of SPF protection, even if it's not just purely sun lotion. And there are absolutely important and positive qualities to this product. It can, in fact, stop those rays, those ultraviolet rays, from penetrating your skin and causing cancer. That is, unless it actually can cause cancer, depending on what goes into the stuff.
And we'll pause on that cliffhanger.